Hi everyone, welcome to this video walkthrough on how to use Azure Functions in Ballerina. So I'll start with a new Ballerina program. So I'll be using Visual Studio Code to do the development, where I have already installed the Ballerina plugin. So you can also do that by going to the marketplace and searching for Ballerina, where you can install the extension from there. Now after we are ready, so we'll, as I have created this bal file with the Ballerina source code, the first part is importing the Azure Functions module. So is that Ballerina X, Azure Functions, and I'll be using an alias for that. Then after that, what we have to do is implement some normal Ballerina functions to expose as an Azure function. So we'll start off by creating a simple hello world type function, which will get a simple HTTP request and output some message by using the input request as well. So let's call it hello string message, which represents the input message, and we'll be returning some string. So let's say we say hello likewise. And after that, we have to mention that this function should be exposed as an Azure function. So to do that, we have to annotate it using the function annotation. So after doing that, then we come to the actual the messages we use. To get the input message as an HTTP input, we have to associate an input trigger to this parameter. That is done by using the HTTP trigger annotation. Can also give the authentication level here. So I'm going to just use anonymous in this case. You can also give like a function level and so on to authenticate users when they are using the function. And also, so now we have defined what how the input is getting in this way. So using the HTTP trigger. Also in the return, we had to say where this return value is going. So I'm going to say the return is going as an HTTP output. So that is also done using an annotation saying HTTP output. So that's it actually. Now we just have to build the Ballerina program. So we just say build Ballerina build functions.bal. Then, okay, oh, I have some additional character here. Now, when they are building the program, there's a compile extension that gets run automatically, and it will automatically create the zip file, the artifact that needs to be uploaded to the Azure function system. So here they have already given the command that you have to execute. So you have to give your own resource group and the function app name. So I have already created this in my account, so I'm going to use that. So now it will take the generated zip file from Ballerina, and it will upload it to the cloud service. Okay, so now it has finished the deployment. Now we can go and check what are the functions that we just deployed. So I have also installed the Azure plugin in VS Code. So here I can see my functions that have been deployed in my function app. So this is an easy way to list the functions and get the endpoints shown here. Okay, you can see our hello function is there. I'm just going to copy the function URL. Now let's do, I'm going to give a payload, let's say some name, and execute it. You can see here, hello chat. So it has taken in the input and concatenated with the message that we have here and provide the output. So there's a simple HTTP trigger related function that we have implemented. Let's see another example where we use the storage services in Azure, like queues. So we have in Ballerina, so bindings for various services, storage options like queues, blobs, and also like database systems like Cosmos DB, Twilio, and so on. So all these services are supported. So it's just a matter of providing the input and output bindings with a suitable trigger. So let's see how we can send a message to a queue with an HTTP message. So let's say add the queue, and the message would be a string message from HTTP, which goes to string output message binding. So our string output binding would be of type, it would be a queue output. We had to give the queue name. So this is what we have to do. So we have defined the trigger as an HTTP trigger, and we have defined the output binding as an queue output. And we have basically assigned the input value to the queue output binding mapping over here. So let's build our updated program. And redeploy. So in this case, I have not given the auth level as anonymous. So the default one is function level. So I'll have to use an authentication like a code here that's specific to this function. So this I can find out here from my functions UI. Function URI. And then just give a message here. And you see here, it already contains a code here that I have to authenticate myself in accessing the function. So let's execute that. Okay. And if you go to my queue, so I already created these queues, and here you can see here the message just came in. So in the same way, we can do queue to queue mapping as well. So we can say message comes to a specific queue, copy it to another queue, and so on. So it's just a matter of mixing and matching these input and output bindings. So let's do a scenario like that. Let's call it transfer queue function. String output. So the first one would be a queue trigger. Q1. And the second one would be the queue output binding. Okay, so we have defined the trigger and the output binding. Now it's just a matter of passing one value from the other. That's it. So this will automatically execute when we put a queue like message to this Q1. It will automatically get copied to Q2. So let's see if that happens. Let's build and redeploy. It's deployed. Let's see if the function is there. So note that we earlier had a message here in Q1 where we sent a message from HTTP to the queue. You notice that the message is not there now. So that means it should have been copied to Q2. So here we see that now. So let's put one again manually. So we have the message in Q1 now. So shortly it should be picked up by our function and should be transferred to Q2. As we see here, it's not in Q1 anymore. It got transferred here. So it's as simple as that. We can basically put many combinations like this with all the bindings we have. So now let's do another example where we send an SMS. So we have a Twilio binding that we have. Let's see how that is done. So let's call it an send SMS function. So we have to give a from phone number here. let's basically put an HTTP trigger to get an input message in. Here, rather than just using a string to the HTTP trigger, we'll be using an HTTP input message where it's an HTTP request, where it'll contain more information about the HTTP request that is coming in, like the headers, request parameters, and so on. So if you use this type, it will populate all this information in this construct. So here, we'll provide the two address or the two phone number here as a request parameter. So we got the query parameter here and assign it to the to number, and the body of the message, we are going to get it from the body of the request. So that is it. So that's it for the function definition. Let's do a build. So the four functions are listed here. Let's do the deployment. So when here, when I use the Twilio SMS output annotation and with the out binding, you have to also provide the app setting with the Twilio authentication tokens and so on. So there's a default app setting name that I have used, and I have already configured that in my Azure account. So those are stored there. So which is why I'm not putting any authentication tokens or credentials here. So those are already there in the account. So the app setting name you can optionally override here, but I have used the default name. So the function is deployed here. Let's refresh and see. Okay, got the function. Let's give it a message. Okay, and the URL, I had to give a query parameter to give my phone number. Okay, actually, let's define my phone number first. Okay. Okay, I have put my phone number to this variable. Okay, so ideally now this message should go and I should get a message. Yes, as you can see here, I got an SMS to the message. I'm not sure whether you can see, but yeah, this is the message I got from the system. Hello from Ballerina. So yeah, so now you can see how easily we can create Azure functions using Ballerina. So it's just a matter of writing a Ballerina function, annotating with the respective annotations to define the input triggers and the bindings. And that's it. So this module is shipped by default with the Ballerina distribution, so you don't have to install it separately. For a full list of bindings we support, you can go and check the documentation. So we have a full sample containing all the bindings and the triggers we support. So starting from the HTTP, triggers, input output bindings, queues, blobs, the Twilio support, the Cosmos DB, where we have the trigger, input, and output bindings. And also we have a timer trigger as well, where you can schedule a function to be called according to a given schedule. So you can give a cron string here and execute that function according to that schedule. So you can periodically execute some logic with this functionality. So yeah, I hope you found this session useful. Go and try it out. Thank you.